Final hour of the trading session and the trading week. Welcome back to the close. Here we go. This is how things stand at this point. 0.68 for the S&P, 0.5% to the upside. The Dow leading the way. A bit of a reversal from what we saw this morning. Was the Dow that was actually lagging a little bit when last we spoke. So back to the upside for all three. Here in Toronto, 0.5% for the TSX. Nicely positive for cryptos to wrap up the week as well, guys.
Absolutely. And look, Sean, if you're watching the morning show, you guys all know that Sean is on a vacay already, so Arun is with me. But a bit of an issue with the position board, so it's actually showing Sean's. We apologize for that in advance, guys. But a heck of a lot of moving here today. I do want to state that the last time we were on the afternoon show, Arun showed everybody up here with that ridiculous Sava short. I'm just looking at you talk. You've kind of done it here again. Arun, I know you guys can't see it on the board, but he's got a good one on Alibaba.
Yeah, so I've only got two positions, and I'll talk about both of them. So it's a Baba short here. And
I told you it was going to stop me out.
Oh, no.
But sorry, I hate to interrupt. I told this guy, I told you RGC was about to stop me out here as it looks like it's going to halt to the upside. So I just got out of RGC. I was short at 19. I was able to get some at 17.50. It then popped up. I'm like, I can't hold this thing through a halt, so I just got punked. Now show us your win here. But watch out, guys. RGC, it's halted like a dozen times here today, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely when it starts going crazy like that towards the end of the day. It gets a little spicy, to say the least. Okay, Baba, 59.50 short, or just underneath 59.50 on the break. Here's the way I'm looking at this, and hopefully this helps you guys when you guys are looking at this as well. Remember, in the morning, the trade was 162 long, right? When we get up to 166 and change and it starts to stall out here, there's not a whole lot you can do. Maybe you can pick up a short randomly if you can have the right levels marked off. But the big trade is the area that was supported yesterday afternoon, today in the pre-market as well. So when you take that, for me, 160 below all the way down to 159.50, when you take that, that's got to be the trade. That's the breakdown setup, especially because it went all the way to 167. That opens the door up much better to the downside. So, hey, why not take the short? And this is sitting on a $2.67 winner at the moment. And the trail stop is sitting just above 157. So I'm locking in about $2 and change if we can actually get, if it breaks back up. But the goal here is to let this go as much as possible. I mean, I can get greedy and say 250 as a target, but you know, this thing can do whatever it wants to do going into the end of the day. So we'll just protect as much as we can, but give it the space to move around. The other trade that I do have is United States Steel. This one I took on the show right at the end, and I'm still holding on to it, just underneath 27. Stop is 27.60. We're still waiting. It's flirting around with 27 at the moment, so that's not really doing a whole lot. Those are the only two positions. Brendan, what's up?
This RGC, guys, is pretty impressive to say the least. For those playing along at home that were wondering what on earth was going on, the Underwriters, obviously a recent addition to the NASDAQ itself, going back to, what day was this? July 16th. So the Underwriters of the IPO exercised an option to purchase 325,000 more shares on the secondary offering of this company. So that seems to be what's causing this today, guys, but super low float, so heads up.
Yeah, 7 million float. And look, I'm not proud of that moment. Mookie Wilson, don't give me any credit for calling that it was going to halt to the upside, because I was sitting in this short and like saying how someone was buying the heck out of it at 18, and then I tried getting out in front of 17, and then someone would basically not barcoded, but had a reserve order at 17.50 just in front, so I didn't get anything out. The next time I jumped in front of that order and got 17.60s. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll roll over. It snaps back up to 18 here, and then when it started going, that's when I'm sitting there typing, and I'm literally typing in the chat to you guys, oh, this thing's about to squeeze on me, right? And yet this is me like, okay, well, it might resist halting at 21. So if it does turn around, it's likely to flush. So I'm kind of sitting there holding on to the shares I have left. Probably a dumb decision. Not probably a dumb decision. Definitely a dumb decision, right? So we show you the winners, we show you the losers. It is in the halt state to the upside. Now, there are obviously some halt levels to go on here because forget about these in the morning, but you do have a double top here, and we'll ignore that wick, and then look at this at about 25.5, where it both halted at the high and then reopened at this little bit of a top here. So let's see what happens when it comes back in. If it does open up and then tries to test that high, I mean, I'd look to that top maybe for a short. This is all about the low float and sort of just squeezing on low liquidity. It's going to be hard for me to talk about this to the long side, because ultimately, I can't think of any good reason why it's trading up here other than the fact that it is that tiny float, guys. So a lot of things still moving. I want to get to that GOVX, but we're getting questions about Spotify. This is another one here today that I think both of us, Arun, when we kind of talked about this 210 break is the only setup that looked like it made sense, but we always say go to a higher time frame. And the second when I'm looking at this, when we're looking at this one in the morning, and then going back in and saying, okay, you have a 210 break, but where's your stop, right? Like your stop at best is at 5, if not down at like this 200 to 201 area. If you give it back to the actual bottom here, like 202, okay, so $8, maybe $5 is where you're going to be wrong on a 210 break. And then immediately running into resistance at 216. It's like I just couldn't figure the structure. If I can't find an out that makes sense, I can't get into that trade. And Spotify, fair enough. Okay, buyback, great news. It did set up for a multiple time frame break there at that 210 level. It's barcoding now, obviously not doing a heck of a lot. Like it looks like a fantastic trade. What actually would have made more sense was when it starts dipping back in here, maybe catching something around 11 or 211, 211.5, and then you can give it to like a 210 or a 209. Like that setup at least gives you a little bit of something to work off of, but I'm not seeing a heck of a lot of activity in Spotify. It has a decent shot to maybe run if you can get past 220, but here comes RGC. If it was, look, obviously I'm waiting for the top here. I'm not jamming into the short at this particular price. But if it does fail into this 2050 area, that could be a little bit interesting. Still trading at 21, now $22, 25.50. That's that top. If it gets in there, could be worth the short. Otherwise, I need to see it fail in that 2050 area. And yep, that's right. That's real. That's me making top wick. If it dies from here, then they got me.
A couple things I want to point out, since we don't really have, apart from the two positions I have, there's nothing really that I'm seeing on deck that for me to potentially take. So a trade that I want to kind of talk about is NVIDIA. It was mentioned in the chat, and we were trying, well, I was trying to, both of us actually were looking at NVIDIA, trying to get this 206 break. There was 43,000 shares on the offer, and I wanted to see how much past that we can get before I put got in. And as soon as we got 43,000 done, it was 50 cents gone. It was at 206.50 immediately. So I put the bid down, didn't get the fill at 206.50, and we went all the way up to 208.50. Here's the problem with this now. Given the time of day, given how far we are from the entry, I wouldn't be comfortable with it coming all the way back down at this point to get the fill. But I do want to look at this chart potentially for Monday or so, just to see if we can actually now take a trade structured well. It is set up fairly well at this point. I'm going to mark some levels off, and I'm going to have NVIDIA marked off for Monday, so we can, just file this away for another day, because at this point in the day, nothing's really going to be happening on this stock, nor would I feel comfortable with taking anything on NVIDIA at this point. Let's take a look at the futures, because last I said around 30 mark is where I wanted to look to get some shorts here. If we set up, we never set up. Remember, the stop on this was going to be 44.40, and we got close. We never took it out. We're still hanging around this 30 mark, which tells me we are kind of floating in this sell zone a little bit. There's not enough buying to take us out, but at the same time, there's not enough selling to drive us down. So what are we going to do? We're just going to have to wait this one out a little bit to see if we can actually pick up some shorts, maybe back in the 35s. If we get up there again and start to stall out, I am starting to see more and more selling coming in. So maybe we get that ability to take a short later on. But for the moment, not a whole lot to do with on the futures. We've missed NVIDIA. United States Steel, I took this position earlier. Like I said, stop was 60. It took all day pretty much. I got that trade at 10.50 or so. Here we are. We're still waiting for this one to really get going. That's only 4 cents in the money. And BABA, right? BABA is still being trailed at 157 or so on the trail. Yes, guys, there is an issue with the position board, so we will have that fixed for Monday. So for now, just be aware that when I'm going to be telling you the positions I have. X on the short side, 26.97. BABA on the short side, 159.30. And that's it, really. I'm also still waiting for Foot Locker. If you guys are watching the morning show, Foot Locker, I was trying to get that short underneath 54.50. If we can get that short, again, if we can get that break, I'd take it, but it seems like the stock doesn't want to get down there anytime soon, so we'll just let it go and see how that one plays out. And Neil? Ooh, we got run over.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not really laughing about it that much. But yeah, I just got run over on this one on RGC again. I mean, this stock is ridiculously strong. I just can't find my way. I can't go long this thing. I don't know why. There's just no way I can figure I want to be long in this stock. So at this point, either it's below that 20.5, because I've tried that reentry when it rejected, well, at least initially rejected this halt price, right? So you go back to this like 22, up to this like 22.5, immediately rejects it, gets right back below that halt at 21.30. I get right in there at like 21, and then it comes right back up to this halt price again, and then slows down at 22.60. I'm like, okay, this looks pretty good. Like it's about to rubber band up and then slam down. Felt pretty good about it getting more shares in there, and then immediately just spikes higher, and it was on. I'm watching the tape. I'm like, yeah, I can't hold on to this one. It could be headed towards 25. I don't want to get caught in an upward halt like we did last time, so I'm going to have maybe a tighter trigger to any short trade that we have on an RG. I almost said RG3. RGC.
Throwback.
Yeah, RG. I don't even know if RG3 is even in the league anymore. I'm guessing he probably is, and he was great.
Baltimore, I think, right?
No, I don't think he's in the league, man. I actually think he's at broadcasting or something now. But I do also want to talk about GOVX. Now, this is going to be the trade of the day, so stick around for it after the show. But no word of a lie, I was looking at two stocks at the same time. One was RGC, which you've just seen me take 2 hits on. And the other one, believe it or not, was GOVX on a break right here at $6. So I always talk about the opportunity cost of sometimes taking one trade over the other. This was literally the trade of the day that I was sitting in short at all times since about 9 a.m. this morning, and I could have had a bottom break on it. Instead, I go to the flavor of the month, or whatever, the shiny new thing, which is RGC, which is moving about a ton. But this is just as good, if not even a better trade. If you're just taking the 6 break, even consolidates lower. I can zoom in for you guys to see here. Consolidates lower, then retakes this level at 570, so you could have got in there, and it continues to flush to the downside. I was short this all day long, but then you see the movement over in RGC, and nobody's immune to this kind of thing, right? Like, it's going to happen to all of us. Like, I just see, I see opportunities here. Like, I saw this chance at a rollover, and I'm like, if this dies through here, we're head down to $13, right? So that did set up, once you had multiple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 halts. And then the last one, this one down halt, consolidation. It's managing to stay open. I'm thinking this is a breakdown. That's a setup I absolutely love. It looked pretty good, and then, of course, it doesn't work out for me. And the opportunity cost is watching GOVX die an absolute death as it continues to fall off a cliff.
Yep. Okay, let's take a look at some chats here. Somebody wants to take a look at Macy's. Okay, what do we got on Macy's? Well, you see this move. We took off from 19 and change yesterday. We took off 22 today, and then we failed. This was the counter move, which I was thinking, hey, if we can get a great setup on the short side, I'd like to take a shot at the short. The fact that we went up to 22 and a half and came all the way back down to 21 and kind of bounced back in now, I think the range is being established at the moment. So just be patient with this. To the downside, you probably have until 20 before you get worried about how much downside, or if the trade to the downside is done, or to the trade to the upside is done. Now, if we get above 2250 and start to stabilize, you may have more of an extension towards the top. But for now, it does look like the range is being established at the moment. So just be patient. If you have a position and you have your stops in place, you really can't do a whole lot. You're just going to have to wait this one out and see how that goes. There was another chat. If you buy leap options for December and you reach your break even, do you hold the leap? Do you know enough about leap? I don't know enough about leap options because the rules are different for leaps.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and try to give you advice on something that I'm not gonna be versed on. So what I can tell you is this: best case scenario. I'm sure there's someone in the chat that'll give you that answer. There's probably someone I know I can go to and ask them that question, and if I can get you an answer for sure. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be an expert in that particular regard. So we appreciate that super chat, but yeah, I'm not gonna front on something like this. There was another trade that Arun, I know we were both talking about, and this is going to be pie in my face. I want to go over this. I'll go over the Robinhood catch the falling sword bounce trade and why this was a huge mistake for me, at least in the way it was a winning trade overall, but I should have done a little bit better. This was falling on a sword into yesterday's bottom. So you want to look at, if you want to look at these lows here on absolutely no volume at 43.50, it just falls like an absolute rock. So as it's cratering, I'm just looking for any kind of a slowdown or a bid that happens above that little wick that you saw on in the pre-market in yesterday's action at 43.50. Once that happens, I actually buy it twice because there was a bid and it did slow down. I get it once on the way down, it holds that 75, I get it again at 77, and it starts working back into the upside. Now here's where the problem comes in. That 43.50 bottom, like that's not real. Like that's a few shares that went off in the pre-market yesterday. Yes, the line on the chart, so in panic mode, if it stalls there on a parabolic move down, fine, you can go one shot in front of it, but that's not a really good place to put a stop. What I could have done, what I should have done, obviously, in hindsight's 2020, but to me this was actually pretty easy to see after the fact, is I could have just put my break-even stop in there. I don't have a level. Like I was doing a catch a falling sword trade and just looking for a quick turnaround on the tape. Once I got it, and it didn't want to follow through past this level here, I just go break-even stop and walk away. And the problem with hanging on to it past this level is that I now don't see the short, right? Like because I'm not stopping out here, I'm not really seeing the opportunity that I should be short when it gets past that low from yesterday and then immediately consolidates, breaks down again here at 43.30, and then look what happens to this 43.30 level where you had that consolidation. That's yesterday's low. This is 43.30. It breaks down here. All of a sudden, that becomes a resistance point as well. Now, we're retesting that a couple of times here, and this is what I mean. Like, we're retesting that a couple of times here, and then still falling into the downside. So look how good that was if I had just stopped out at break even and then been, like flat and sober instead of stopping out here. I would have been thinking about the reversal, and then look what happens below that channel, right? Like, it's just a short at that level all afternoon, and I wasn't taking any of it because of one slip up with a stop order placement. Like overall, still a winning trade because I took most of it out for winner. But at the end of the day, that bad stop out costs me from seeing things clearly to the short side. And Robinhood was a great short at that 43.30 area pretty much the rest of the day.
Yeah, a couple updates there. Baba, I'm actually finally out of Baba here. So we're walking away from Baba at 157.07 was the print of the average print. And that locks in about $2.23 or so on Baba. So hey, you know what? It's 3.15, 3.16. We can walk away from that trade. I'll take $2 in the afternoon and just kind of end it on a Friday. I've still got United States Steel, so X, that's still 5 cents in the money. So we'll let this one play out. It's not. I mean, reality is this thing's not going to go $3 or whatever. This is going to be if it's going to be a winner, it's going to be a 10, 15 cent winner. But at the end of the day, it's about your share size, right? So the more shares you have on these kind of stocks, the more money you're going to make. Anyways, you can move less and still make more money. So we'll let that one play itself out. Hood, that is my biggest loser for the day, and this is on me, and this is just because I ended up being too cheap. So I had the long at 45, got stopped out at 44. I was okay with that, and then I was trying to flip directions, and then I realized that I had to pay for shorts on Hood, and I didn't even check the price on how much they were. I just wasn't going to do it. And yeah, that thing went from 44 to 42.50, so trail would have been 43.50, so let's say we can say we're still in it. Reality is I don't even have the position, so I can't really talk about it or get too excited about it. But that's just, it's a matter of, are you willing to pay for your setup? Are you willing to put up the cost for that setup? Me, I don't know. I just wasn't willing to do it. So here I am sitting in watching this thing as it's actually in the money, and I could have recovered the cost of the trade from the initial trade and the cost of getting shorts. Brendan, what's up?
Another one still moving around this afternoon, guys. Flora Growth, FLGC, we talked about it a bit this morning. Actually halted at one point this morning after earnings for FLGC. Got up to 13 there on that last push.
So I actually just put this one in the chat, but I was looking. I traded this a couple of times here this morning to the short side after a halt, and then off of this top here at 12 even. But that 12.20 level that it's fail break here and actually just broke out through. If you do come back into the 15-minute, it actually looks pretty good for previous support into the parabolic move and then resistance now breaking out above it. So if it dips down, 12.20 does seem like a level to me that would have some significance to it. So I mean, I'm kind of like. I'm still looking at RGC, and I was just trying to get some GOVX as well, as that just popped back close to that 570 level. But FLGC certainly going to be on my radar. And I see you there, Adam. For those of you that don't know, if you see Adam Dalcourt, he's asking for everybody for what the news is on Doordash. I used to trade on our floor, so shout out Adam. Hopefully all is going well with your trading in here today. But Doordash absolutely cratering right now, down $10 and still Look, this was positive. It was actually having a pretty good. This stock was having a pretty good day, and then just absolutely cratering here at the end. So we'll see what I didn't see the print of what the news is just yet. Hopefully, Brendan will get that to us. But this is a 50 period sitting right here at like 178. So you're into some interesting levels on the daily on Doordash, especially considering even on the 15-minute, these levels look pretty juicy down here at 178. Brendo?
Yeah, I can show it to you here in a second. What's up, Adam? Haven't talked to Adam in a long time. Doordash was going to invest a bunch of money, $400 million to be exact, in this grocery delivery service, Gorillas. So apparently they have abandoned those plans, guys. So that combination, I guess, with Gorillas off the table.
And the market ain't liking that one, that's for darn sure. So I did get into GOVX. I'm going to work that one probably back into like that, like the 80 area. You know, give it to like, I mean, $5.90 and $6 are definitely prices on that stock. Look, I should have had it earlier for sure, but my eyeballs are all over Doordash at this 178. I mean, it's already bounced once. I wish I'd actually been looking at this at the moment that it happened, because I might have already had like a one-shot bounce at 178, and you could have had like $1.50. But I still think this might not actually be done. If it bounces again, we'll take a look at it. This should also be a trade. By the way, when imbalances come out, yeah, I'll be looking for Doordash to possibly make a move. Anytime you get news like this, right at the end of the day, sometimes you'll get some good action in the auction. But 178 just breaking. Now, I don't like shorting through a low like this. You do have some wicks down here. It's a 50 period. Whoops, I zoomed in, not out. It's a 50 period, but there are levels down here from a few days ago, like 177 and then 175 here. So shorting off the low, I need an out, and I don't have an out that makes any sense if I'm shorting 178, given where those two targets are going to end up being, guys. So I wouldn't just rush into short the bottom. If it were to pop back up, I mean, I'd probably be looking at like 82 and 83 as 178 holding for now, Arun.
178 holding for now. Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do, really? At this point, given the volatility of Dash going into the end of the day, this could actually get aggressive, because I'm not sure how many buyers would come in. Did you? You didn't short it?
I didn't short it.
You called it. 178 break. All right. What do we do with this? This could be the only trade that's available at the moment. 178 break. Let's zoom this out. See how much we got to the left. Not a whole lot. Where would you put your stop on this? If you take 178, yeah.
I don't have an out.
And the problem with 178 too is it seems like back on the 13th, we stalled at 177 and change. We just took that level out. Well, we got underneath it, but given the volatility, volume's probably low, so I just wait this one out. I don't know where you would put a stop. You can try to play for momentum, but that's got to be a quick in and out, and you probably can't go heavy on shares. So I'm just going to not even bother looking at this, but I am going to go to the chart, and there was somebody who was looking for something. Luis Valencia. Yeah, you wanted a shout out from Neil. You were trying to get Neil's attention, but he's busy trading, so I'll just do the shout out. Shout out to Neil Valencia and Brian Thompson, Christian Knowlton, and Roki 111, and Valeria apparently.
I missed that.
No, well, it was just there. I just happen to be scrolling through the chat because there's not a whole lot left for me to do in this day. I think I'm pretty much done. I'm just going to go through the chat and see what I can do. But otherwise,
I'll show you how this is going for me. I'm like, I don't have my face slap. I'm not even ready on the face slap. Anyways, so I don't know. I don't have any one of the negative ones set up there. But FLGC, I was just finished saying, like, if it dips down to like 12, 20, 12, whatever, it'll be an interesting buy. Just when we looked at that 15-minute chart anyways, well, so it turns off a 13. I'm not short the darn thing. And then it comes right back in. Look at this wick. Right down into 1233, snap back up to 1260. And again, like this, the reason why I'm not short this name, I was shorting it all morning long, but then once you got above this level, like I said, that support level here and then that resistance, once it broke past this, I'm not in that breakout, I'm looking for that dip. Now it has already dipped, 10 cents above that level and bounced once, so I'll go ahead and cancel a bid. I don't know if I'm gonna get that now, and even if it comes a second time, I'm not gonna want it. But I did get back into that GOVX for the first time it's kind of ridiculous that I took this off here at 2 o'clock. But now we're right back into this cluster here. That secondary push to the downside. Top end of this range is 590. Bottom end here is 570. So right now I'm sitting in 65s. I mean, I'd add to this one certainly for sure. It's been a good stock today, and there's that fly. I'm going to get it before the end of the show. But back into the well here on GOVX to the south side. That NVIDIA, I don't remember if you mentioned it, Arun. But worth noting, if you're looking at split adjusted pricing, 208.75 should be the 52-week high, split adjusted. Current high, 208.66. So probably the only thing keeping a lid on NVIDIA right now is the all-time high. And it has been testing it closer and closer as this thing is gone. It's really coiling up right now.
Yeah, here's the thing too, right? Sometimes trades like that aren't, I guess, aren't set up or set up too late in the day, just file them away for another day. NVIDIA is one of those trades where taking out that 206, getting close to that 208.75, all of that kind of sets up a read for Monday and see what we can do with NVIDIA on Monday. Dash is another situation. Well, it's messing around with 178. We knew action was around 177. They got all the way through there. How much volume, I don't know, unless you were looking at the actual level 2 depth and the time of sales. It could have been easily 10 shares that got it down there. If there's no liquidity, it doesn't take a whole lot. And now it's snapping back, right? So this is going to be something that's going to set up for tomorrow, because between now and the end of the day, there's imbalance that's still got to come out on it. This thing can still bring in some more volume, and you don't know what the close is going to bring. So you let that trade itself out, you mark it off, and see if we can set something up for Monday. And that way, you're not ill prepared, or you're well prepared for setups, and you can see them coming before you even move, right? Usually stocks move like 5-10%, or they hit your radar at that point, but if you can get the setup before it even gets there, well, I think you're well prepared for that. Futures, I want to talk about real quick. We're sitting at 35.75 and getting closer and closer to this 40. Problem is, if the 40 goes, 40 was the level that I had marked off well before the day even started. If we take 40, I'm not sure exactly what I can do with this, because I would like to be on the upside. So where do I put my stop? I have no clue where to put my stop, because I'm thinking maybe 20 might work, but then if you look back, 10 becomes a problem, 15 becomes a problem. So maybe putting a stop in front of those two areas is not good. So the only other level I have is 43.95. And am I really willing to take 45-point risk on a trade where I'm going to run into something in about 10-15 points in terms of sell side resistance? Probably not. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark off the levels, let it go. If the 40 goes and we keep on going to new highs for the day on the futures, that's fine. We can figure out something else. But again, this is going to be another one of those situations where you mark the level off and you come back to it another day. For me, it'll be Monday. We got Dash, we have NVIDIA, and we have the futures potentially setting up
Wait,
for
you're in
another
Dash?
day.
I'm about to get in Dash right now.
No, I'm not in Dash. I'm saying setting up in terms of for another day for the chart. Because right now it's not, I don't see anything that I can work with for Dash.
Oh, come on, don't say that. I just got into this thing.
Well, no, it's I'm just not willing to take it with the final 30 minutes getting extremely volatile, you know?
It is true, the final 30 minutes will get extremely volatile, but and again, like when you're trading something like this, a lot of times you're going to want to have that look where you have like not necessarily like a ridiculously tight stop or like a wider range to work off of, but you know when it did make that first move down, if you really look at all these, this is a 1 minute chart of course guys, but you look at all of this, like it gets into this, I guess pull into 180, and then tries to bounce back into 182, then we get the flush down to 76, which I mean obviously we didn't short that break at 178 because we had no out. And then we come back up. I say to myself, it slows down here at 180. I like that 182 for an out. So there's some room to operate here. Like I can add to it at 181, get a little bit patient with it, and then see if we can work ourselves back down to what was that previous support at 178. Like even if it puts in a higher low, that's still $2 from here. And my stop is $2 away, and I have some room to add to the position. So I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to go for it. I already did, guys. I'm kind of in the position. So can't really say I'm going to go for when I'm in the position on Doordash, but just took some here at 180, even just about. See if we can't get it down to that 178 again. And then 182 is just going to be my stop. If it fails up here again, I can take another short. Eyeballs are still on that FLGC because I think this is one. And obviously, like I like that bounce off 1220 the first time, and it got to 30s. I cancel a bid because I don't want it the second time through. It travels right through that 20 price and still holds 1215. So, I mean, if this thing can't hold up at that 1220, like if it craters below it and starts to consolidate lower than 1220, it would turn into a short into VWAP for me. It's not there yet, but it's getting pretty close. And I don't want to get too far away from RGC, but I mean, I have gone 0 for 2 on the stock, so it hasn't been the best read in the world for me. But it just made another test at the 24, lower high, I should say, and then flushed down to 21. So some selling is certainly coming into this stock. Probably not enough for me to take a third attempt at it. either way. And if I do take a third attempt, I want it to be a little bit more clean. Like I don't want to be like piecing in and then waiting to get the rest of my shares because the range is too big. Like I'd rather have a setup where I can just take it at one price, and I haven't really seen that clean of a look on it just yet. Oh goodness, did I just look a gift horse in the mouth?
Probably.
No, I just saw Dash, like it was, I don't know, like I just saw like a P&L spike. So it felt like Dash. Either there was like a really bad, oh come on, don't do that. Either it was like, yeah, okay, that did happen. Like it flushed down, like one candle actually went down to 179 and then couldn't hold. So I don't know, I think the selling might still be on Doordash, but I probably could have taken a quick little buck and then reloaded on this one. If it comes down to 79 again, I'll probably maybe just take the buck on it, forget about the $1.50, and then see if I can't rinse and repeat. But for now, Doordash looking pretty good. GOVX still flat, but that thing's been selling all day long. And no matter what, it's still going to be the trade of the day. Like I can't turn negative on the stock unless I do something really, really stupid. Like, I mean, there's keystroke errors happen, so I should knock on wood.
I had one earlier this morning on Apple where I got out and then ended up getting back in right at the same price because, yeah, I didn't realize I accidentally got out because I thought I was sending in a limit order to offer out, and I was not. Okay, so that happens. Just fix the issue. Whenever it happens, you just immediately take care of the issue, so you're not wondering what if I had done this or what if I had done that. Since I have no positions, what am I? Oh, well, I still have or X, United States Steel. We'll let that one be. I'm just going to go through the chat. There's a question there. I wonder if Arun likes sitting in the new seat or in Sean's old seat by the wall. To me, it doesn't make a difference. One thing I do notice here, though, in this seat, I'm not sitting right in front of an air vent, AC vent, because
that one blows down sometimes.
That one blows down, but that one, the seat over there, the AC vent blows right in your face. So this one would be preferable. This seat is preferable than that one. And Lewis says, you asked if we can have me join Sean and Neil live. Well, here's it's potential, but here's what you also have to understand too is I'm not much of a, I kind of do my own thing. I kind of just like, I'm not in, I guess, out there. I don't have social media. I don't kind of put myself out there in terms of things like that. So I kind of just step in once in a while. That's kind of how I prefer it. But I mean, that could change in the future. That's something that's open-ended, I guess.
They love you, man.
Yeah, you know, it's just, I'm just so used to being a private person that for me, this is kind of like a little bit outside my comfort zone. If you guys actually looked at how I started, say, a year ago or so versus how I am now in front of the camera, it's completely different, right? So I'm more comfortable in front of the camera now, but that's only because I've been, doing it once in a while or randomly here and there for almost a year now. So it's just one of those things. It's a personal preference thing, and we'll just, that could change. That could be always open-ended, and we can always go from there.
I got to read some of these. Arun is the Kawhi Leonard of trading. Arun, don't downplay yourself. We appreciate your golden advice. I don't know. A lot of that sounds to me like they're saying you could definitely do it. Look, we know you can. But yes, you can dash. So of course I'm going to get caught in the short dash. And I said I was looking at gift horse in the mouth, and it just spiked up again. Will it even fail at 182? I don't know. It's trying to catch a bit above that particular price. I'm not going with I didn't take a second entry in here, so I'm not actually going with a hard stop. I hate hard stops if I can avoid them on stocks with 20, 30 cent spreads. So, oh yeah, it's having a chance like it wants to turn here. So there it is. It's going to try to make a turn off this level. We'll jam in some more shares here. I'll probably have to cover a bunch if it goes down to like a 180 half, just because it's going to make a heck of a lot of sense. But looks like Doordash, I mean, it obviously wasn't a good short off that 178, if only because there was no stop. But then try the retracement short. I've seen this game before. Every now and then you get one of these like fall all the way down to earth on a news story late in the day, and then it finds a way to come all the way back. Now, in this particular case, all the way back. Now, it's at that 182 previous low of the day. And you look at this actual low that isn't the pre-market, or at least the opening range, and that's going to be at that 183 level, guys. So if I got to put a hard stop, it'll have to be at that 183. I can't see any way it goes all the way to the top. Look, I'll take a third shot at this one. I'll be out of it, but I would take another shot at this if it got anywhere close to 186. That's ridiculous. I can't see how this would put in a positive print. Well, it's back positive in the session. I can't see how it would put in a print up near the high of the day. That seems a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah. One thing I'm going to do with my final position that I have, X, I'm going to try and get this out. I wanted to give it a chance to try and actually get towards the lows at 2670. I'm short at 97. It doesn't look like it wants to go. And with very little time left before an imbalance comes out, I'm not too keen on holding on to this one. So I'm going to try to dump this as close as 27 as possible. try to take a 2-cent hit instead of a 3 or 4 cent hit. That's just me being picky and me being a little greedy with my exit. At this point, it really doesn't matter. BABA, well, after I had gotten out, it actually tried to take that 156 one more time. This is very interesting though, because now it makes me wonder if the imbalance on this is going to be a sell side move. If we get a sell side imbalance and this thing is sitting at 156, you could easily have a low get taken out. That's something to keep an eye on. If you're long, we would have to clear 157.50 to be comfortable. If we're short, well, if you're still short and you're still holding on, I would just wait and see how close we can get to 156 as closest to 350 as possible, because if you get that, you might just get a run towards the lows on BABA. What else we have? We have NVIDIA still working the highs. Again, file this for another day. Not a whole lot you can do. And Dash, back to 184, snap back from.
Yuck.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take over on this one.
I got nothing good to say about this stock. So probably should have just gone with the hard stop. I'm kind of sick of myself over that one there. And it gets stopped out like up at that 184, like the 183 break. That was a 70-cent spread on that break. It was 10 to 20, and then the second it broke 183. That was like a 70-cent break. And then I almost got blinded. It's all good with Lucas, no worries. We're doing some. So anyways, you guys know Memes and Movers is on a bit of a hiatus as we're working on some of the issues, like fixing some of the lighting. These guys are working really hard in between the shows, but they were still testing some lights. Anyways, one just got flashed. It was like right in my face. Thankfully, I had already taken out the Dash trade. But yeah, the work never really ends. I see Robbie's all over the place still doing stuff as Maggie and Lucas are on the board there. So hard at work, at least I think he is. I don't know if he is. Rob, gonna call you out there. RGC, I don't want to get too far away from this name, if only because there's nothing quite moving. Well, I mean, as much as this one going into the afternoon. Come on. And it's still coiling up here. So once again, thankfully I'm not in this short because every single one has stunk so far. Thankfully I'm not in this one, but it's still coiling up like it wants to go. This is why I don't want to be involved in the range. If it breaks down 21, fair enough. If it breaks up, tests the high at 26, that's a better entry point. But it's insane. This thing cannot roll over. It continues to maintain these highs, guys. FLGC doing much of the same thing as well as it holds above that 1220 level. So a lot of strength, which is weird because I would have expected some of these parabolic movers going into a weekend on a Friday here in August that there'd be some profit taking on these runners, and it's the exact opposite. There's buying on these names going into the close, which kind of shocks me here, Arun.
Yeah, I mean, hey, when a market has moved as aggressive as it has this week, I'm talking about the indexes as a whole. Think about this. Where do we start the week? We started off at, this is the 16th, 17th. So we started off in the 50 area, 44.50, went all the way down to 43.50, call it a 100-point range, and here we are sitting almost 10 points from that same entry point. So it's been quite the week. So you're gonna have rotations, you're gonna have stops on people that have been trailing positions that have been going straight up. A lot of this is gonna be restructuring, let's call it, in terms of long-term portfolios as well when you get a move like that. If we take the 43.50 again, I think what you may have is dip buying get trapped out if 43.50 goes again, because everyone's kind of trying to buy the dip, right? So as we come back up, we'll see how the next week plays out because it's really going to make a difference. Brendan, what's up?
A little biotech just popping up, guys. Having quite the day. In fact, Amaris, they have an intranasal COVID-19 spray, apparently, that is somewhat of a therapeutic, not necessarily a vaccine, but a therapeutic. So positive news on that today. 15%, just made a day high there on decent volume, trying to get back to recent levels for AMRS.
That's not the only thing making some moves here. DATS is off to the races. Again, this is not the first time this one's moved. We don't actually have locates on DATS. I just double checked. So as this goes parabolic one more time into like 625, only 15 minutes doesn't want to load, neither does the daily chart. But here comes that 625 level, guys, and it's right on those highs. I got to check out to see what it's going to cost me. At 340, to be honest with you, like it would have to be really, really cheap to pay for locates at this particular time on a name like this. But I'll check in on them anyways because I'm always going to do my diligence. To me, the worst that happens is I look to see what they cost, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. Shakib, I see you in there on Alibaba. We talked about this one, and oh yeah, that's like 2 cents a share. Okay, whatever. That's worth it for like 15, 20 minutes of action. Not a bad price there. So Alibaba, I'm with you guys. Well, for anybody that's been holding the bag, I said this morning in the morning show, like I'm joining the bag holders. I was waiting for a very long time on Alibaba for it to crack that 170 and get into like the danger zone here. Now, so you looked at this is 170, and of course you got the double of 320. Yesterday it got cut in half at that 160 level. It was trying to make a breakout. Actually made some money long on it this morning before that reversal. Good trade of ruin on the short side, but you got 150 down here. You've got 130. And those are two just absolutely monster levels. Whoops, I can only go so far back because it's a really bad print. Once you get past that 130 level, it is air to 100, right? Like you have that, we're going back to 2017 at this point. So just looking at these charts here, I knew once it got to that price, I was gonna start buying. It holds below that 170. I got some shares in 162, told you guys in the morning show. If it breaks that 150, I'll be looking to add one more time. I'm in right now, only an entry position, and I would wait to get the second half of the shares definitely down in front of that 130 level. But Alibaba at these prices, like I said, like if it can't hold 130, I mean, I don't know, you could be looking at a 100 print quite fast. At some point, I feel like the capitulation will be done. It's just not there yet. I just got my DATS shortable shares, so we'll have a quick look at this one. Of course, yeah, this is the one. Like as I'm paying for the shorts on DATS, as if that's when it goes from 625 into six even. So might have missed the boat on this one a little bit. And I paid the 2 cents, and I'm gonna miss the trade anyways, guys.
Nice. Well, that's a waste of $2. I've wasted more. I've wasted money on stupider things. But hey, you know what though? There could be another trade on DATS as the imbalance comes out, because
I'm looking at Dash. I'm looking at the imbalance possibly like.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put up the imbalance locator. This is our imbalance locator. Right now it's not live. You're not going to have the data feed, or our data feed is not accurate at the moment because everything's published at 3:50. So we have about 9 minutes or so before we get the publish from the exchange. Right now I'm just going to sort this by size, and we'll leave this here. As we get closer and closer to 3:50, I'll just leave it on my screen, and as I talk, you'll see this populate with the updated data. And here's the thing. When you have a market that's gone as aggressive as it has today, I mean, the market's up over 1% on the NASDAQ, 0.8% on the ES, and imbalance could be big. It could be big, especially the big names to watch, Microsoft. Microsoft is up 2.72% on the day. Facebook is up 1%, and Apple's almost up 0.93%. So those three are some of the biggest tech weights. So just keep an eye on those imbalances, because if they are big, then you're going to have the indexes move, because, well, when you influence an index stock that has weight, well, the index goes with it, right? So Microsoft, Apple, and Facebook are the three big imbalances you want to watch going into 350, because NASDAQ and New York come out at the same time. So they'll all be put into the blotter at the same time. If you have access, check your brokerage if you have access to the imbalance locator. Ours, we're with Daytrade the World. All the software, all this charting you see is all Daytrade the World software, internal, custom built, whatever you want to call it. We have a ton of tools attached with it, imbalance locator being one of them. It's a direct feed from the exchange, and they just create a little tool here so we can actually see what the imbalances are. What you're going to see with the imbalances, if I haven't talked to you about this before, first up, you have 350. That's when everything gets published into the blotter, into this little window here. All these stocks that have imbalances sorted by size, largest ones are going to be at the top, at least the way I have them done. And from there on out, you're going to have 355 update from the floor. At that point, you're going to get almost like a refresh. And that's when the imbalances can change directions, because what this essentially means, an imbalance means that this is how much stock needs to be bought or sold by the end of the day. 355, though, the interest from the floor brokers gets put in, the D quotes get put in, and we get an update of how much the floor interest is. So if you have a lot of floor interest, more than what the actual imbalance is at 350, you're going to have a buy side imbalance go to a sell side imbalance because of that. And so 350, 355, those are the two time frames or the two time periods you want to keep an eye on. So if you're wondering why stocks are moving like crazy at those times, specifically at 350 and at exactly 355, that's why. So what I actually might do is actually keep the NASDAQ in futures contract up, just so you guys can see how much of an influence these imbalances have as they come out.
And yeah, of course I'm going to miss RGC. Of course I'm going to miss RGC. I just tried to catch this break at 21. I'm like, I'll wait for it to move. Instead of sitting in a short, I'll wait for it to start going. It just halted to the downside without me. So 19.55, I tried to get a 21 break. I just canceled my order because obviously it's in a halt state now. So into the close, RGC is halted. Now it's 3:44, so it's actually not in the last 15 minutes. So I'm not 100% sure if it's going to open up. It might open up again. If it doesn't open up, there'll be like a closing print or an opening print at 4 o'clock, and then trade in the aftermarket. I'm very sure if this had been like a couple of minutes from now, then for sure it wouldn't open until 4 o'clock. But RGC halted to the downside, and I didn't chase it, but I did try to get this one to the short side, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know if it'll be open up at 350. Certainly at this late in the day, sometimes that'll be it, and 4 o'clock is going to be that last print. I do want to be watching Dash. I know it's stunk. Obviously, definitely a stinker to the short side. But at 350, when the imbalances come out, I'm just very curious to see if there's a snap move, like if there's a buy imbalance, let's just say on Dash, even if it's a small one that takes it anywhere near that 187, I'd want to immediately fade that, or even the other way, like just if there's a huge sell imbalance that gives you a bit of an actionable trade off of like a level like 185, and you can have a stop at 85. That's another way to be able to play it. So in 4 minutes, I'm going to be definitely watching Doordash here just to see what the imbalances are, and we'll get those to you when they do come out. If you don't have it set up, I'll have it set up just so we can actually look at the broad market imbalances.
Yeah, no, what I'm doing is I'm creating 2 separate lists. I'm going to have one that's going to be just for the broad market, and then one for the top names. Oh, there. Okay, so he's going to have the broad names, and I'll have the specific stock-related ones, specifically Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, and Dash, just to see what those imbalances look like as they come out. A couple things I want to point out, right? In terms of trading, like trading, obviously everyone's trying to make money every single day, but you're not going to win every single time, and you have to be okay with it. Now, for me, I've taken 9 different stocks today, from Microsoft all the way to Hood. I only have 3 winners, but my Microsoft, my BABA, and my BTBT winners are much larger than my other 6 losers. So I am still well ahead when it comes to the day. So, and that's how you have to understand it too, is that it's not always about, you are trying to win every single time, but it's not always about trying or making those winners every single time. Control the ratio. As long as your winners are large, I'm sure you guys hear it all the time, as long as your winners are larger than your losers and you average blah, 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 and you come out ahead, it really is a math game. Trading is really a math game. So just be aware that you are trying to do math as you trade, right? It's all about math, and sometimes just taking trades based on what your strategy is. If it works out mathematically, and it's supposed to work out mathematically, trust it. It's not just about how you feel in the moment. I try to rule that out as much as possible. I feel like that's the only way I can trade. I can't go based on feeling all the time, because then you kind of cloud your judgment a little too much. And for me, I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Oh, 100% true. Like no one's ever you can't remove emotions from the picture. Let's be honest. Like, we're not actual robots, but you can do your best to try to eliminate some of that. I feel like this is one that I want to mention here, only because when we came in today, I think the first stock that we all looked at was, well, I know we were both looking at it here, and even Brendan as well, was MUDs, right?
Yeah.
And this is what it's done all session long. And someone educated me on this one, because I'd never seen this on a SPAC before, where it essentially just holds as if that $10 was essentially like a buyout price, and it's all day long. Now I trade. You guys know on the side, I trade these buyouts, right? Like the any leverage buyout cash deal. And when you get something like this is behaving exactly like that, and it would have turned into that trade 27 million shares. And I'm actually embarrassed at myself for not just spread trading it all day long, because this looked like it was absolute gift. I just didn't necessarily, I didn't understand it. That's why I didn't jump into it. But it certainly would have been right up my wheelhouse. And I learned a little bit of something here today, because they got the bad news. And then all of a sudden people are treating it like they're going to get their 10. And it's like 985. When we sat down here from 985 all the way down to 975, the level 2 looked exactly like this. And it was just stacked 50,000, 100,000 bids. Like, you are not getting through this level. We're buying it up confidently here on an ARB play. And that's all you saw. And then it just held true. And if you have direct market access, like we obviously do at Day Trade the World, there are traders that will just sit there and it's like 82, 83, 84, 85. maybe even short 90s, get out 90, 91. Sorry, if for a stop, get out 87, 88. Like taking pennies, taking spreads. And here comes the reopen on RGC. I know it. Yeah, I deserve this one. There's RGC opening lower, guys. It's open at $19. Look, I'm not at 350. There's pretty much a 0% chance that I can jump into this one down here. I had to have caught it up here, so obviously this won't work out for me. Still no lower than that 1750. Well, remember there was an iceberg buyer at 1750 that wouldn't. That
Neil,
was this stuff.
I'm gonna take over here. I just want everyone to see the imbalance. We got about 10 seconds left. If you can come over to my screen, guys. Can you guys maximize my screen? So here we are, and the imbalances are out. We've got Dash on the, buy side. We got a buy side Dash imbalance. Microsoft on the sell side. Wow, these imbalances suck. The largest imbalance is 1.1 million shares on BBD. Yeah, these are not, let me just clean up the imbalance locator a little bit. I have some filters here for actually, let me do that later. So you see multiple marketplaces. That's because we have some we have different markets coming through.
Yeah,
there we go.
I just want to quickly show, like, if you have, I have it sorted.
I have it sorted too.
This is pretty much nothing. I mean, Oracle's there, Abbott Labs, but those are pretty small imbalances there.
I mean, the largest imbalance right now is Apple at 333,000 to the buy side. Dash is 7,000 shares to the buy side. Microsoft is 200,000 shares. These imbalances, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. And RGC is doing absolutely nothing. So why don't you take it over?
It's halting to the upside now. Like, what in the actual hell is going on with this? Like, this is ridiculous. So it halts down. It's like, yeah, it's going to capitulate. No, man, they're just going to buy it right back up. Now, there was somebody stacking this thing up at 1750 that wouldn't let it get past that price. So I suppose there was going to be a buyer at that higher low. But this is why I stayed away from it. Like, it comes to a point in the time of day where you just don't have the time to formulate a really good trade, especially on these halt shots, right? Like, give me a break. Like, I probably would have been involved in this to the short side if this same thing had happened at like 1 o'clock or in the morning show or whatnot. I probably would have been involved in this RGC. It'll be on the radar to be sure coming into next week, but this one is crazy. And now I can confidently say it's halted here at 350 or past 350 at 351. This will open up at 4 o'clock, and then there's post-market trading. So if you're in this bad boy, you might want to be able, if you don't want to hold it or you can't trade in the aftermarket, get out on that 4 o'clock print. Should be an interesting, I guess 4 p.m. open on this name because it could go either way. Yeah. I wouldn't even hazard a guess. A lot of times I'll say on these things, oh, this one's looking like it's going to make a post-market run. We have to be flat at the end of the day anyway, so I'm not going to be trading it. Or this one's going to flush, right? Like, remember like VRGX or whatever the heck that stock was? I'm like, that thing's going to tank at the close, and it tanked after the close. Or we talk about those runs at 4 p.m. I have zero idea what RGC is going to do because this one has been wildly unpredictable. As you can see here, I haven't done very well on it at all. So watch out if you're in this bad boy. No clue what's happening next year.
All right, so let's take a look at that imbalance here. RGC has a 407 share imbalance. Maybe that's what caused it to halt to the upside. 407 shares. No, I'm joking. That should absolutely do nothing. NVIDIA as well, 152,000 shares to the buy side. So just keeping an eye on imbalances on these stocks. Again, we'll give you an update at 3:55 when we get another update from the floor on these imbalances. But for now, yeah, I don't know. I think if you've already made your money, call it a day. I'm done. I've stopped for the last half an hour. After getting out of United States Steel, I haven't done anything. I've just been going through the chat, and that's it. So for now, maybe we might have something at 3:55 that provides some opportunity. Highly unlikely. If you made money this week, good job, because in August, it is very difficult to find days where it's very volatile. And take it when you can, because it's not easy. August is not, trading itself is hard, but trading in summertime volume is even that much more difficult. So if you've made money so far, just enjoy it. And if the market starts quieting down, because I honestly was expecting the market to really kind of quiet down in terms of volume. I know Sean's off all of next week because he's banking on the same thing. Neil, you're off after that. So he's banking on the same thing. August is the time to take vacations. And typically...
Traders even get married a lot of times in August.
Brandon, what's up?
I just want to revisit that Doordash move from earlier, guys. Just saw a few people discussing the fact that Possibly someone got liquidated from a position, a rather large position on Doordash. Was just checking that news regarding the combination with Gorillas, the German-based grocery delivery company, was actually quite a bit earlier today. Came out about 11 o'clock this morning. So I don't think that would have had that kind of effect at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So some chatter anyways flying around about somebody getting liquidated from a position there, guys.
Throw me in the gates of hell, because I'll tell you this right now, like, it's all hindsight, of course. I'm still watching this RGC because that's what I want to see at 4 o'clock. But now that Doordash, like, if I'm aware of that knowledge, there's 0% chance I'm shorting into that pop. Like, that's ridiculous, right? Like for me, like, that's pretty sloppy, I would say. So obviously, like, all that setup has to do with it being actually legitimately reacting to a print on that volume. But when it's just somebody being liquidated, you want no part of the rebound unless it's literally right at top, right? And top here would have been 85 to 87. So I should have had no part of that trade given those facts. But again, look, we'll educate you guys on that so you don't make those same mistakes. That's what I'm all about here. That's what we love to be able to do. Watch NVIDIA, Arun rightfully says, look for some of these for setups for next week. And then remember that NVIDIA is closing right on or very, very close to 208.75, 52-week high. It's rubbed up to that level a couple of times here. And yeah, that GOVX, I mean, I have it here at 70s. I'm going to have to start peeling this one off. I wanted to hold it right into the close. But it's really starting, like, it's finally starting to go to the downside here. I can't celebrate a huge win because I never should have been out of GOVX in the first place. This is going to be the trade of the day, but I should have either not covered this trade at $6 or just jumped right back in when it broke 6, or I should have had the 570 break the first time. Instead of getting back this trade here into 570 and then now hoping to get back out on the bid here as it falls into the close. I will short this literally all day long until it made its final leg to the downside and took it off a little bit too early. So that's pie in my face on GOVX. I mean, I'm sitting here complaining, but it's still actually a pretty good day. But I always like to dwell on the mistakes that I've made so that I make sure I properly analyze them myself. And before we get out of here, there's 3.5 minutes to go. I want to shout out Chinmay. We actually had a graduate on our trading floor here. Some traders are here remote. You have to hit certain metrics at Day Trade the World on our floor to trade firms' capital. So we're all going out after having a few drinks to celebrate a recent graduate. We celebrated when Trader Pratt graduated. We celebrate him all the time, so I just wanted to give that shout out. It's always a lot of fun for us. Of course, it's more fun when the floor is full, but always a good time to see a successful trader in there. So should be good times. I mean, we'll miss out on the fact that Sean can't be there, which kind of sucks. But we'll have a little bit of fun. We'll raise a toast in his, look, man, the guy's going to be happy. He's going to be going, because the guy has ADA going on, obviously, and then he gets to sip a few brewskis while he's up at the cottage. So he's not going to be complaining at all.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely not going to be complaining. He's going to enjoy his time away. This is the time to go away, right? It's August.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the time to go away. And I'm sure if things were different in the world, a lot of people would be more likely to be gone than not. So I noticed in the chat, and I'm going to do this really quickly. It's like, hey, you guys do trade of the day. Can you guys do a bad trade of the day as well? I might as well just do that right now. This is my worst trade of the day. Hey, long 59.50 on FL. Guess where I got out? The low, right here. Low on that move down. I think I got averaged at 41 something, 57.41, and the market just has not touched that since. So clearly, that's got to be the worst trade of the day. That's my second biggest loser, actually, on the day, Hood being the worst. But hey, that's pretty straightforward. When you get kind of wicked out like that, it is what it is. You just move on and try to make money somewhere else, because you can't really, as much as you want to dwell on it, some things you can't. You want to try to improve. I do want to point out one thing, though. Which cameras? Can you guys come to the camera? All right. I do want to point out, though, that I am actually, when it comes to learning as much as I possibly can and getting better, I have my book here. You see here. This is my book. This has all my trades, all my futures accounts that I make adjustments for. I always look at this every week to see if things need to be changed, things need to be adjusted, volatility adjustments, blah, blah, blah. And you do have to do that. I know some people just like to trade and step in and just go, but if you really want to make this something where you're going to do this for much longer, you do have to make adjustments, because the market's always changing. That means you also have to keep adjusting and changing. It's fun when you see guys that are traders that are balling out or whatever the case is, but there's a story behind that, and that's what a lot of people don't see. Is they don't see the story, because it's a lot of work that you got to put in to get to that point. And it's not fun. It's never been fun, but it needs to be done.
1,000,000%. And I'll tell you this right now, like I've sat down and Arun's broken out the journal and we've had conversations, of course, in the course of running the floor about like trading strategy. And I always say it's like the easiest conversation with any trader that I have ever had when it comes to talking strategy or going over plan is always with Arun. Like there's never any arguments. It's like, I'll give a couple of points here, but it's always pretty smooth. He's very, very self-aware. We're very, very happy, of course, to have had him fill in for Sean. And then it's going to be, as usual, the trade of the day coming at 4 o'clock, so tune in for that. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, but I got to drop the countdown because it's about that time. Robbie is literally running to the bell. Don't trip on anything. He didn't trip, thank goodness. He's got the shades. He's ready to go. It's Friday, 2 and 1. Ring it, Rob. I mean, what needed to happen there is Rob needed to have like 3 of those mounts so he could juggle. So what you guys don't know, well, if you've been watching long enough, you know this. Rob can like juggle like 3 or 4 like fire sticks while riding on a unicycle, or something like that. I mean, maybe not 3, maybe not 4, Rob, but he can definitely juggle 3, and maybe not fire sticks, maybe just an actual sword, but definitely on a unicycle. He's very multi-talented. But let's just find out, how did we close up here, Brennan?
Nicely positive right across the board. As we said, the Dow had a nice bounce back. We can have a look. Leading the way there, the NASDAQ, 1.1%. The Dow, though, as I said, had a nice bounce back from kind of lagging everything else earlier this morning. 0.76 as well for the S&P 500. So positive numbers outside crude. Another 2.25% for crude today.
And Amurzing just said, we need to see that. So I got an idea for a YouTube short, and it's going to involve you on a unicycle with flaming somethings, or maybe the knives. I don't know, whatever you can figure out there. He's a talented guy. We have a very, very talented crew. Maggie's all over the place, moving cameras. Lucas was doing his thing. Lucas started off doing it all by himself. Now the entire team is out here. But once again, it's been a fantastic week, as always. For the whole team, when I end it, you know how I got to do it around here. For the whole team, for Miss V, for Sean in absentia, he's probably sipping a brewski somewhere. For Arun, doing a fantastic job filling in. They love you, buddy. And for Brennan Wickens and the wonderful production crew, Robbie, Lucas, Maggie, I'm Neil Roberts. Good shot. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Trader TV Live. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.